Today's notes are going to be about bonding, so go ahead and write bonding at the top of your notes. There are two different types of bonds that we're going to talk about. The first type is called ionic, and the second type is called covalent. For ionic bonding, this occurs when an atom loses an electron. That means it's losing a negative charge, so it becomes an ion. This ion, which is an atom with a charge, that's what we call ions, they're atoms that have a charge, then has a positive charge. So one of the electrons went away, and so now it has a positive charge. Remember that generally the number of protons and electrons is equal. But in an ionic bond, an atom loses that one of the valence electrons. It goes away, one of those valence kindergartners at recess. Okay, it goes away. And so the atom has a positive charge. If an atom gains an electron, then it has more electrons than it does protons, then it's negatively charged. So here's just an example, and it's a little bit blurred, but we'll talk about this more in class. You see that the plus represents the protons inside the nucleus, and the minus represents the electrons that are in the electron cloud outside the nucleus. And how the electron cloud is negative, we have the attraction between the two. We'll talk about it in class, and there's an animation that you'll actually be able to see. Here's another example of it. So we have the Na, which is sodium, and the Cl, which is chloride. And we have the electron, see this little valence electron here. What's happening is he's going to transfer over here. That means that the sodium, then the Na, is going to be positively charged, and the Cl is going to be negatively charged. Na has more protons than it does electrons, so it has the positive, and the Cl has more electrons than it does protons, so it's negative. Then that's going to create an attraction between the two. So one is positive, the other is negative, so they're going to attract. Kind of like opposite poles of magnets attract. So when ions of opposite charges come close together, they're very strongly attracted, and then they remain attached. And then here is a brief animation of an ionic bond showing again the Na and the Cl, the sodium and the chlorine, and what happens when that valence electron leaves. Okay. We also have polyatomic ions, and these are made of more than one atom, and they can either have a negative or a positive charge. There's a chart in your book that looks similar to the chart that's on this page right here. Poly means many, atomic dealing with atoms. So polyatomic ion has more than one atom. Covalent bonds are formed when two atoms are actually just sharing electrons. Both atoms attract and they share electrons at the same time. And this is one of the animations that we'll watch in class. But for right now, just make sure that you write down that a covalent bond is formed when two atoms share electrons. And we'll go through several examples later. That's all for now. Make sure you have the basic definitions written down. This is definitely a lecture that we're going to go over together in class, and we're going to do lots of examples together. So if you have any questions, make sure you write those down too.